someone told you right now that you could remove all your negative items quickly, would you believe them? You probably wouldn't, because you know this is a difficult process. But what if I gave you the key to this? Today we're going over how to remove charge-offs from your credit report. There's only a couple of parts to this formula, and we're going to take information from our credit report and plug it into this formula. So we have our formula for 5 parts. Action such as delete this account, this personal information, this bankruptcy, this inquiry for inaccuracy or violation, because, and then you just tell them why. The date active report says 3 different dates. Date last paid is illegally re-aged and reports 3 dates. Notice a dispute not entered, even though I disputed on X date, you received it on Y date, and it wasn't on credit report dated XYZ. Anybody can. But what about a $500,000 charge off with American Express? Do you know how to do that? Probably not, because it's extremely difficult. But if you had repeatable process for charge-offs in any other account, you could probably use it, right? That's exactly why we're going over this. There's 68 million people with bad credit. My job is to decrease that number and be part of the solution. So we have our impact levels. We're starting with charge-offs, and I'm going to show you where each type of goes in our dispute funnel. We're starting with charge-offs. You have a couple of different ways that you can approach this. If we run factual, we have blatant inaccuracies, date last paid, notice a dispute, date last reported, or no investigation. There's a hierarchy, 1 dispute reason per account per letter, and 1 to 10 accounts per letter. Why am I saying that? We want to flood the system to increase our violations. We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. If we put all inaccuracies on 1 letter for 1 account, the likelihood that it's going to be deleted is not that great. If it comes back as verified, we cannot reuse a dispute reason. We're not going to get it removed because we used all our dispute reasons already. This is why we are limiting what we're saying on each dispute letter. Let's look at the next part. We have Joe the plumber, which is very simply just regular everyday person who just wants to fix their credit. We can do a factual follow-up, use the date updated or date last reported, multi-letter shuffle, using different letters to remove accounts, and then go after violations. I call it violation bingo. Check out that video in the description. We can go factual, multi-letter shuffle, squeaky wheel, and repeat offense. Squeaky wheel is hitting them with everything we have coming from all sides. Bureaus, creditors, collectors, CFPB, AG, BBB, FTC complaints, bank complaints. We're not just depending on one entity. We're going after everybody, circling the enemy so they cannot escape. That's the squeaky wheel. Repeat offense means it's like violation bingo. We prove they failed to enter the notice of dispute, failed to update the date last reported, failed to respond. They are offenders. We can also do factual challenge. Open up your mind to these different ways to go after removing accounts. Why do we have so many different things we're going over? Because this is not simple. I get it. There's all these different people here on YouTube that tell you all you got to do is pay $40. If it were as easy as that, I would sell it to you. I can make it easier by giving you a repeatable process. When you go after a challenge, we can do investigation request, method of verification, FCRA requirements, no documentation to prove the account, and then creditor collector no response. Let me just give you an example. FCRA requirements, that's going to be their failure to comply with federal law. Method of verification, how they actually verified. There's never an actual investigation. No docs would be they're reporting XYZ account, but no proof that account is owned by you or is your debt. And then creditor collector no response. That's where you are disputing with the bureaus and they're not responding, but keeping it on your credit report, or you've disputed with bureaus and done secondary disputes with creditors and collectors, and that they are not responding. A secondary version of this would be FCRA requirements, independent investigation, and restatement and report. How do we apply this? I'm going to show you. Let's break this down so you can understand where each type of dispute reason falls on the Richter scale, how likely you are to get these things removed. The most powerful dispute reasons are date last paid, notice of dispute violation, and first date of delinquency. Somewhere in the middle, we're going to have things like account activity after the account was closed, date last reported, lesser violations like monthly payment, high balance and less accurate, the status update date, and limit type terms, open date, and not mine removes accounts about 2% of the time. This is why we don't use this. If you're using dispute reason at the bottom of the hierarchy, that is why you are not getting deletions. I'm going to show you a simple way to write a dispute letter to the credit bureaus for any negative account on a credit report. On the right, we have our dispute letter. On the left, we have our pyramid. You're using this to fill in your information. Your dispute is always going to be the same.